Welcome back to Just a Dude podcast, the place where we dive deep into the stories that shape, inspire, and challenge us. I'm your host, Nathan, and today we're exploring the transformative power of storytelling in the business world. We're sitting down with someone who's not only mastered this art, but also built a platform to amplify voices from all walks of the entrepreneurial landscape. So get ready to be inspired because today's conversation promises to be nothing short of enlightening. Let's jump right in. Joining me today is none other than Adam Torres, the CEO and co-founder of Mission Matters. Adam has dedicated his career to elevating the stories of entrepreneurs, executives, and experts, turning their experiences into powerful narratives that resonate across industries. Mission Matters isn't just a media company. It's a movement that celebrates the human side of business through podcasts, articles, and more. Adam, thank you for being here to share your insights in the incredible journey of Mission Matters with us. Adam, welcome to the show.
Oh, man, Nathan, come on. I'm on the legendary Just a Dude podcast. I've been waiting to come on here for a long time because I'm just a dude too. So, man, I'm excited to have some fun with you today.
Yeah, me too. I love having people on like yourself who've really, built your brand and the things that you do from the ground up. And that's literally what we're about here. It's just a dudes, making some positive impacts in the world. So, Adam, let's start off by saying, give the audience a little bit about your background. Let them know about yourself.
Yeah. So first off, I like to say that the reason I like coming on shows like yours is because I want other people to get out there. I want to inspire them to share their message, to share their mission. So our platform's called Mission Matters. And what I do is I've done over 6,000 interviews. Built the brand from scratch and we just keep on growing. And just for context, I'll do between 1,500 and 2,000 interviews this year.
Wow.
I think I did like 6 today and I'm excited to be on here because now you get to do the work asking the questions.
Absolutely,
and,
right? You get to sit back and just answer.
Yeah, I like that part of it. But I like to tell people that it didn't start there. That's when I started, I was the world's worst podcaster. I know that's the worst thing to say, right? But let me tell you, I was so scared that I didn't even use my real name. I didn't use my name in the podcast. And then I wouldn't do video. I didn't do video until I did over 2,000 interviews. Just FYI.
Wow. Yeah.
Because you put it on a camera and I would be like, my name is, I felt like Eminem's my name is.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what, Adam?
I will blank.
I sit here in front of the camera and I had no intention of doing a video podcast whatsoever because I'm like, who wants to see this? Right.
Yeah.
But, I found out that doing, you get a lot of good exposure by getting these shorts and going to social media and YouTube and all that stuff. So, yeah, videos really kind of changed the game of podcasting a little bit,
Yeah, I would blank though. And the reason I say that is because I know there's some other people out there that are maybe thinking about starting. It doesn't have to be a podcast. I'm agnostic. I just want people to share their story. They might want to write a book. They might want to start a podcast. They might want an Instagram channel, a YouTube channel, whatever you want to do. But I like to say I'm proof that I started out the worst and I was able to build a brand and an audience. So if I can do it, anyone can do it. So
and
in the beginning,
I echo that with you too, Adam. I'm the same way. Started from nothing, didn't know what the heck I was doing, and now here I am, and interviewing a professional like yourself.
Yeah, the first show, and I feel like so fear is one thing that holds people back. I think another one that holds people back is the technology component. And I always tell people, I'm like, okay, now Nathan's over there with his fancy Shure mic and his headphones, and Adam looks like he's got a trucker mic on, or he's calling a football game, whatever. And this is all fancy, but my first 300 to 500 episodes, I did on a phone.
Yeah.
0 editing on a phone, uploaded that bad boy, put it out, and we built an audience. So what I like to tell people, especially in this space, is just get your message out there. You want to interview people, interview them. You don't have to know what you're doing. I'm self-taught. I didn't know anything. I picked up some books afterwards, after I was like, this thing is kind of working. People are listening. Maybe I should do a little bit of it's kind of like you're driving the car and then you're like, well, maybe I should get my license.
Exactly,
maybe I should
right?
actually not just be pushing the gas pedal.
Yeah, let's see what others are doing, right? That makes it a little more successful, right? Yeah, I'm the same way. It's funny because I was the same way as you, coming on, being unsure. And then after, 30, 40 episodes, then I started doing research and saying, what could I do better? One thing, like you said, getting your story out there. And this is something I like to tell folks too, is yes, get your story out there and don't worry about it being perfect. Right. And because I tell folks in my everyday work all the time, I'm like, don't let perfect get in the way of good. you know? And that's what I say to folks is just get your story out there. It doesn't matter if it's 100% perfect, share it.
Nathan, I gotta ask, how do you
Yeah.
come up with the name Just a Dude? I know you're interviewing me. Please allow me the liberty of at least one question. I'm not that type of guest. I just have to know because, like, Just a Dude, it's epic. Well, how'd you come up with that?
A while ago, someone asked me, they said, how would you explain yourself in one word? And I was like, I'm just a dude. I'm just a dude. So like, dude, because I'm like, there's nothing special about me. I'm not a millionaire. I haven't invented a huge company that's going to change the world. I'm just a dude that's literally started from the bottom and just kind of worked my way up through education and different jobs and things like that. And I've had tons of very successful careers. That led me to kind of where I am now. That gives me a good, good background. I mean, I was a security officer is where I started, working at the bottom, making like, 10, 12 bucks an hour. Then I became a cop. I did that for 13 years. I got laid off from that job, decided to go back to school, got 2 master's degrees. Now I work in IT, specifically with AI. So I'm like, I just wanted to show and get out there and say, let's talk about what everyday people want to talk about. Get stories out there, inspire people, because normal people do extraordinary things. And that's what I want to share with folks.
I'm glad you didn't say, the first thing that came to my mind when you said, what's one word? I was going to say vertebrae.
Yeah, right.
Vertebrae, invertebrate. I'm like, I'm a vertebrae. I got one of those. It's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, that
would have been started. Terrible. Just a vertebrae podcast.
Yeah, just a vertebrae podcast.
With your hosts, Adam and Nathan.
Exactly.
They both got spines.
But yeah, and so I got to ask you the same question then, Adam. How did you come up with Mission Matters?
I didn't actually. A guest came up with it. So our original brand was called Money Matters, and I'd written a book, and it's still on Amazon, and I like to call it my ugly duckling. Anybody wants to go see it. It was my first book. Since then, we built a publishing company. We've published over 400 authors, including Barry Sanders. We published his autobiography, just for example. So we published entrepreneurs, a bunch of different people. So over 400 authors published. But our original brand and company was called Money Matters, and it was Money Matters Top Tips. And based off of that, one day I'm interviewing somebody and they say, Adam, money matters, but mission matters too. And I'm telling you, it was like God just like...
It just like something snapped,
My
right?
relationship with God, Nathan, let me tell you, like he puts me in the headlock sometimes, gives me a noogie, he poke me in the eye, something. He's like, come on, Adam, listen, pay attention. That's how me and God talk, so...
Yeah, you know what? I'm the same way, Adam. Sometimes it's just so obvious in front of you, and then you're just like, wait, why did I look around it? It's like I should just listen to the message he's given me and just go.
Yeah. So I talked to the other co-founder. I said, hey, Shirag, what does this sound like to you? Mission Matters, like what for the name of the company, this, that. So we have a long discussion about it. Then we table it. We move on to some other business. Then like about 2 months later, he calls me and he's like, Adam, how do you feel about the name Mission Matters for our company? And I'm like, Shirag, that's a brilliant idea. Yeah, I love it. Best type of idea is when somebody feels it's their own. It's fine. It wasn't mine.
Absolutely.
It was the guest. The guest put it out there. God gave us the guest, like all good there. But I'm like, if we can buy that domain, because if we can't do the domain, we can't do it, period. I don't want a different thing. I don't want anything else. And if it's not, the domain's not there, that it's not meant to be. But I know it's already taken. I know somebody owns it. So if we have enough money in the bank account, are we going to buy it? I'm not looking it up unless we commit fully right now. He's like, do it. So we take that leap of faith, spend more money on a domain than I'd ever thought I'd spend in my life. We literally, just for context, at this point in the company, I'd already done over 1,500 interviews. We'd already published books under the name Money Matters. We had a successful website and we had a successful infrastructure built. And so including social media, and we stopped it all on a dime and started over. And within 9 days, we had a new website launch. We segmented my content so that all the new episodes, we started the podcast from scratch because we didn't have the beginner tip out there. If you're starting a podcast, pay for your hosting, own your subscribers, like don't do anything free. We didn't know what we were doing. I didn't know what I was doing. I shouldn't say. Shirag probably advised me otherwise. And I was like, I'm not paying for that. This podcast thing is not going to work. It's silly. So I probably was the cheapo. But that cost me because I had to start over. So I lost all those subscribers because I never really owned them because I was on a free platform. So if you're out there, that's just a sidebar tip. Make sure that you're paying for good hosting. So I didn't, so I had to start over. So all those 1,500 episodes, they're still out there, but they don't really count for what we're doing today. And it's under the old brand, but we segmented and we created 8 different shows based off of my content. And we have a money show, a business show, a marketing show, a tech show, a startup garage show, and so on, entertainment show, a lifestyle and luxury show. So we segmented them and really built the entire platform and launched over 30 social media channels to accommodate that. And that was all done in 9 days by the grace of God. New website, new everything, even some of the community, like our web developer stuff like that. People pitched in, they loved it. And I'd say from day one, the name Mission Matters, and even the people that help us pull that off, like just who got what we were trying to do and why we were doing it, they were behind us.
Yeah.
We started from scratch, and I feel like it's that, you got that calling and you have that leap of faith and you listen. So we took that step out, we listened, and I would argue we're still being rewarded by, the impact we're able to make, by the guests we're able to help, and by the clients we're able to obtain. So I'm not saying everything's always great or it's easy, but man, talk about starting over on a media company when something's working. Whew, it still makes me sweat telling
I
that
can't even
story.
imagine what went through your mind, especially sitting there saying, hey, we're just going to blow up everything. Well, not blow it up, but we're going to abandon what we did, and we're going to move to a whole new platform. Who
blow
knew
it up.
a whole
You're
new
accurate
mission
on blow
statement,
it up.
right? Yeah.
Think about it.
And
Blow it up. It's accurate
in 9
because we
days,
couldn't take the podcast. So because of that, we blew it up, literally.
Yeah, and started afresh. You basically were like, hey, now I have to ask you, Adam, did that, the customers or people that you have worked with under Money Matters, were they easily transitioned over to Mission Matters, as far as any relationships?
Yeah. No, on that part, everybody's fine. Like they understood what we're doing. For most people, they're not going to know the back end unless they listen to this podcast. They might have thought it was just,
this is like behind the scenes.
It was just a rebrand.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, from outside looking in, maybe you just thought it was a rebrand. So no, all of that was fine. It was more so the pain of doing it and stopping something and having no guarantee that it was going to work, right?
Yeah.
Because think about it, a show called Money Matters, in theory, attracts a different audience than one called Mission Matters. In theory, There's some overlap, but there's also some people that subscribe because they wanted the money side of it only. So, that's a thing.
Yeah, and so you had Money Matters, and then you transitioned to Mission Matters. So obviously we see that there's an evolution here. But what was the initial vision, even with Money Matters?
Yeah.
And then how has that evolved into what you do now with Mission Matters?
So it evolves constantly. First off, I'll give you the most recent evolution. So it started with, it's a business, right? You want to make money. You want to do some other things. I still want to do that, by the way. So everybody watch an ad on our YouTube channel or do whatever you got to do so we make some money. Lots of different ways for us to go click on a banner ad on our website, whatever. So we still want to make money. I'm not saying that's changed, but as I've grown in this business now, doing it over 9 years, having again interviewed over 6,000 people, at the end of this year, another 2,000 people. At that clip, I think my perspective has matured in the industry. And I'll give you one example. So I now kind of understand, based off of life experience, the concept of legacy. So unfortunately, I lost my mom last October to a tornado of all things. Like it was a total freak accident. The ones that were in Florida that everybody heard about, like that, 6 people passed. 2 of them one was my mother, one was her boyfriend. So tragic, crazy, insane, random, literally a hand of God reaching down and grabbing a house out of many and throwing it across the street. So one of the things in going through that grieving process, and as I still am, and going through everything, is what I cherish most is I recorded multiple podcast episodes with my mom. And I was like, whoa, it's when you talk about I'm not claiming that I have enjoyed that or am enjoying that experience. But when you think about the way God works, or when you think about even negative things that happen in our life, I'm pretty young still. So I would say that my mom went out on top because she was at a ripe age where she was still active, still moving. She never wanted to get really, really old. So she was she wanted to be feeling good. And one of my last conversations I had with her, she's like, hey, Adam, you coming to Florida for bike week? I'm like, what are you talking about? You ain't going to no bike week. You're too old to be going there. She's like, whatever. I go every year.
Yeah,
So she's like living her life. She was good. But that realization of what we do and for what you do, Nathan, when you have people on your show is that you're a part of their legacy. You're a part of like the people that you like one day if I have kids or when I have them, my kids are gonna watch this and they're gonna be like,
yeah,
man, that's how you used to look back in the day, Adam, when you were
exactly.
like hanging out with Nathan. Like, and I can already see signs of this, by the way. So I'll give you one example. On our YouTube channel, there was a comment the other day that said, that's my grandpa. And I was like, whoa. So that means that this gentleman, his name's Bob Mears. He was the former CEO of Reebok, took him from like 15 million to like whatever X amount of $1 billion, CEO of Lululemon. Like his grandkid is watching the YouTube channel and being like, that's my grandpa, like
Yeah, now
watching
his
the interview.
grandpa's YouTube famous, right?
Well, we're part of
Yeah.
we're part of legacies. We're part of
Yeah.
in the past when it wasn't a creator economy or when we didn't have access to these tools, our histories were written for us based off
Yeah.
of whoever had the infrastructure, whether it was back in the day, the papyrus or whatever, whether it was the stone tablet, whether it was the whatever it
Yeah,
was at
exactly. It was
whatever point.
usually a scribe, right? Was the
There you
one that
go.
was doing all the work and writing
At
everything
whatever
down.
point.
But
So now we're kind of the scribes. And
yeah,
now especially when, let's just say certain segments of history maybe have been erased in the past, it's going to be harder to do that nowadays.
yeah, absolutely.
Because you're going to have more people and more empirical evidence because of the content that we're doing right now.
And
To
not
say
only
like
that,
that was what happened at that
but we're
point
not
in
going to
that
have a
time period.
view from just one side either, because there could be shows that spawn off of this show, right, Adam?
Yep.
And, could give different opinions on how people see things, which will give us a fuller picture
Yeah.
really in the future than what we probably have now of the past. Because
Absolutely.
it's always from usually one side of you, usually the winning side of most things. But yeah, we have an opportunity now to share stories. And I didn't even think about helping build the legacy of others. And you're
Weird, man.
absolutely
It's
right.
weird. Like they're great. Think about it. Like your whatever lineage, if your grandfather, your great grandfather, your great great grandfather. Could you imagine if you could like today, like think about it. Like if your mom's like you're a kid and you're asking your mom, hey, how was great great grandpa? Like what was up with him? And she's like, watch this YouTube video. Here goes an interview.
Exactly.
Here goes an interview he did with Nathan or with Adam. Like, that's cool. Like
That
we're a
is pretty
part of
cool.
people's history. We're a part of like their lives going forward, of their family tree. Like that's just, it's next level. It's very intimate. And it's why I feel and why my mission is to help us encourage others to share their stories, is to get out there. And then also, if they enjoy sharing their stories, then to start their own podcast or start their own platform or way. It doesn't have to be a podcast, whatever. Start something else,
a couple of posts on Facebook, whatever. Yeah. Just do it.
like start providing and thinking about how you can add values to others and whatever that looks like for you in creating content, and be part of the conversation.
Yeah, I absolutely love that, Adam. And that's such a great thing too, because you're right. I think people have so many great stories out there that not only can inspire others, but can also help others see that maybe they're not alone if it's, something that maybe we have negative, in our lives. So we can see that we're not alone. But then not only that, usually those types of people that are sharing their stories share their success with overcoming those types of things too, which can just be a huge help to anybody.
Yeah. As humans, we fundamentally want to feel some type of connection. So it's the human spirit or the human condition, maybe not spirit. So how we're conditioned.
Yep.
So if you're going through something, maybe somebody else shares it, and it's not necessarily the host, not necessarily my voice. It's not necessarily your voice. It may be the guest that's on sharing that they went through something. Like my hope is that somebody listens to this and says, wait a minute, this guy says he was the world's worst podcaster, and that's why I should start a podcast. First off, nobody does that, but I'm telling the truth. Didn't even use my name. Wouldn't be in front of video. If you can do a Zoom call today, you're better than me. So period. If you can do a Zoom call and say your name, you're better than me, because you turn on a camera, man, I'm telling you, I blank Nathan. What's my name again?
That's funny. Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, you can do it too. That's the main point.
And I, just like you, Adam, I encourage anybody, if you have a story or anything you want to share, if you just want to get out there and talk with people, definitely do it. There's really nothing holding you back. And like you said, Adam, the cost to get into even like podcasting or if you want to go into social media is you just got to have something you already have, which is your phone. And that's all you need to start, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't cost, you don't have to buy $800 microphones or, $800
Look at
headsets and
Nathan
all that.
flexing
But
over here.
oh,
Look at
trust
him
me, it's not
flexing on the
$800, but I've seen some
hold on.
folks.
If you're in the car right now and you're listening to this on your, in the speakers on your Apple, whatever, on your phone, and you're not watching the video, Nathan's flexing right now because he has a
No
sweet
flex.
setup, got the big old mic, the headphones, just so everybody knows if they haven't seen his video. Go ahead.
Let me tell you, I am the type of person that I look for value. So it's got to be something that's, I will pay high prices if it's got a good value to it, good quality. But most of the times I find you don't need to spend a lot of money to get good quality all the time.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That's where I go with that.
I go functional,
Yeah,
man. I'm a
absolutely.
functional person. I'm like, man, how long is this thing going to last? Is it functional? And I actually tell people, like, when they start getting into this audio conversation with me, I'm like, well, start with bad audio. I was like, if you can build an audience with bad audio, then
imagine when you can
you can always increase the quality like later.
That's exactly what I did, Adam, because I didn't start with this microphone. That's for sure. Well, not for sure, but I did not start with a good high-end microphone. I think the microphone I got was like $20 off of Amazon.
I used to tell people, I used to love when people would say something like that. They'd be like, Adam, your audio's a little off, or you said something wrong. And I'm like, are you serious? Oh my gosh, do me a favor. Listen to the next episode. We're making some changes man, I'm just trying to get another download.
Yep.
Changing anything.
Yep.
I gotta play
the download game, right?
Do me, and especially from friends, like friends that are actually friends, but they got a little bit of hater in them, like that are actually friends that are the know-it-alls. I'd be like, really? Like, oh my gosh, listen to it again. I can't believe my editors missed it, and there was no editors in the beginning. I wasn't even editing.
Exactly.
It's just like
it's a one-stop shop. You're
filter, or we got a new mixer, or I didn't have anything. And listen to the next episode. Let me know if that one's better. They'd be like, no, Adam, it's still the same. It still kind of sounds off. I'm like, I just don't understand. Listen to the next one and let me know. Please send me a text.
Maybe it's on your side. No.
Yeah, exactly. Zero shame. Funny. I just want to, and for everybody that's listening, go to my Instagram. And if you go in the link, Ask Adam Torres, give it a listen and see if we got better at our audio.
Yeah, exactly. Go through every episode from the beginning until
all
now.
6,000, baby.
Let's see how it improved. I love that. Nothing like a quick plug, shameless plug, right? To get it going.
So shameless.
So Adam, so what you do is, you're storytelling, obviously. I mean, we've seen this, just from the introduction and everything, but you're doing it like with modern business folks, right? Entrepreneurs, CEOs, things like that. So why is it important for storytelling in modern business?
Yeah. Well, if you, first off, when you think about what we are in today versus the past, even the concept of a personal brand, we go back to the 80s, you think of like Michael Jordan. Like pretty much like those, you think celebrity, you think things like that, like that's it. Like you got to have celebrity, you got to be at that level, you got to be a singer, musician. The market's changed with social media and with all of the different channels we have now, and the fact that we can all be creators. The bottom line is, if you don't have any content out there, then that is a personal brand. It says a couple of things. It says either you're out of touch with society and what's happening today, which as a CEO, is that your brand that you want? You're out of touch. Yeah. You don't know what's happening. Or it says that you don't care. Or it says that you're maybe even combative, like non-participatory, like you don't want to participate in what's going on, and you're okay with it. So like, and you're okay with either status quo, or, and this is the worst one to think about, or you're hiding something. So all of these, when you think about the C-suite level, like at one point in time, you kind of had a choice, and maybe you still feel you do, and it's okay. Maybe you still do, but in one more generation, will you? And maybe you're listening to this, you're like, yeah, but I'll be retired by then. Okay, then this message might not be for you, but for the next generation that's going to fill your shoes, it's not even a choice. It's not even a question. You got to have content out there, like, or else you're hiding something. And if we look at it, the interesting part about it is that the higher up you go, it's understood. If you're a publicly traded company and you got to do a quarterly letter to your investors. I mean, the medium's just changed a bit, right?
Yeah, you're right.
The medium and the way we tell our story has changed a bit, and how far and how able we are to get into the personal side versus all business. I believe that that's also changed. Like you can, like now brands are more attractive when you know a little bit about the personal side of the CEO or a little bit. And it doesn't have to be a tell all. It doesn't mean like you
Yeah.
have to be an influencer doing selfie videos, or that's not what it means.
Be
But
doing
it
all
does
these
mean
lives,
that
right?
like,
Yeah. You don't need to do all that, but just have a message.
yeah, and if it is something that you enjoy doing, then do that, and it's okay. And what happens is you actually get a lot more leverage based off of your brand and otherwise, because you're still you. I mean, and so if you let people know about other things that are going on in your life, they're going to feel closer. They're going to have more brand affinity. They're going to follow you. They're going to be part of that discussion, and they're going to have your back. Like if you can ultimately get people rooting for you, then it's more forgiving. And
Yeah.
you think about it, and not to, like go way back in the day, presidents do this. Everybody does this when you're at a certain level. The higher up you go, the more that those individuals know that they need public opinion. They want it. And if they can sway it and if they can be part of their dialogue, they're going to win from it.
Yeah, and to build on that as well, Adam, from a CEO perspective, it lets people know that they may be just a dude, right, like you and
Yeah.
me, and that they're just a normal everyday person, and they're helping to create whatever products that their company does, and you can see that personal side and actually put a personal connection to a company, which is probably a newer idea, right? Because I think
Yeah.
most of the time we just think of, when you think of a company, you think of the products or services that they sell, and not necessarily the people that are involved with it, unless you get bad customer service, right? Then
Yeah.
you think
Yeah.
about them. But yeah,
And even
that's a
then,
great
at least
point.
somebody cares. If somebody cares enough to talk to you about it, like that's still a win.
Yeah, and imagine the feedback you could get as a CEO or a C-suite person if you're sharing, a little bit of personal stuff with business stuff, and then you have your actual customers interact with you. Now
Yeah.
you've got first-rate feedback that you may not get otherwise.
Yeah. And I see it time and time again, like time and time again. And if you see like some of the people that have been on my show and then you Google them, you see some of the other things they're doing, you're like, man, I love it too, because then you get to, again, people get to benefit from more than just your product, more than just like people have so much to give in terms of knowledge, insight, like you can help move humanity forward if we collectively share our lessons and what we've learned. The
Absolutely.
sharing economy, like the concept of sharing knowledge, it's amazing. We can literally, if we collectively do this, move humanity forward faster.
Yeah, and you know what? One of the industries that I see a lot of that collaboration, even with competitive folks, is in podcasting.
Yeah.
There's over 400,000 active podcasts right now, I think was the last report that came out. And it's like most of us will work with each other, even though, whether we're in the same niche or not, to
Yeah.
help promote each other, which is kind of a good thing that, I love that in this industry as far as podcasting. And it would be nice if we could see that cross collaboration in the business world as well.
Yeah. I'm in the middle of helping a podcast launch called It's Just For You. And on Instagram, it's Just For You. And I was explaining that to the host. Her name is Anna Yu, and she's amazing and phenomenal. The show's going to be phenomenal. And I encourage people to go check that out on Instagram. Or sorry, I said It's Just For You. I said it wrong. She would kill me if she heard that. She ain't going to listen. It's okay. It starts with you, and that's YOO. And what's interesting is I was trying to explain that to her because she comes from the world of fashion and some other things where there's a lot of competition. And I'm like, podcasting's different. I said, like, we all win the more we work with each other. We all
Absolutely.
just win. Like and it's not like that I'm going to pick on YouTube for a moment. You meet some interesting characters on YouTube. Like the comments can be brutal. Like there's just a lot of things that it's not like that on Instagram necessarily. Depending on your niche, it can be a brutal place with a lot of opinions. Definitely not Facebook. We don't even know what Facebook is like nowadays. LinkedIn, it's not like that on LinkedIn. Like people are all like paranoid about their, perfect picture, whatever.
Yeah.
And what color tie they have on, I don't know. But
Exactly.
podcasting is different. I was like, there's even a term for it, and I was trying to explain to her, and it was like the idea of swapping episodes or doing different things. I said, there's even a formal term for it, and I said, I don't know if that started before or if it was just a culture, but I've worked with at least 500 plus podcasters. Maybe actually, no, if I count the shows that we launched, as a company, we've launched over 250 shows.
Wow.
So if we add those to it, then I would say I've worked with and or met minimum 1,000 plus podcasters. Haven't met one I didn't like.
Yeah, you know what? I have not either, Adam. And I've worked with a
YouTubers,
few.
I met a lot of YouTubers where I'm like, oh Man,
Yeah, and
I love YouTube, by the way. I'm not picking on YouTube.
No,
I
me
just mean it's
either.
a different culture.
And I post my videos to YouTube, and I've got
I
a
do
little bit
too.
of a
Yeah,
following
we do
there,
too.
but you're absolutely right. It's different, like, from the podcast side than it is from the video podcast side. We'll say that
Yeah.
with the YouTube side of things. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Every platform is a little bit different, but you're right with the podcasters. I have yet to meet a podcaster that I have not enjoyed working with, whether it be a guest or being the host,
Yeah.
But yeah, so how does your company, how does Mission Matters help these professionals cut through all that noise that's out there to get their message heard?
So first I'll say that it was not the original plan to help other people launch podcasts. So we get a lot of credit on that one. And I'll tell you how it happened. So as a media brand, we built a media brand. We built my shows. We built me as a public figure within the space, and we had traction. We had sponsors. We have the completely traditional media brand and profit centers. One of the things that I do is I travel and I cover a lot of conferences. So what'll happen is conference organizers or event organizers will hire me to come out and do either interviews on stage or to do, they'll build me like a stage on the side and I'll interview all their key sponsors and their like vendors and stuff like that. And then we put out all of that content on Mission Matters. And it's a unique product and it's a unique value add. And we do all the social media, everything else. So I do a lot of conferences like that. And we call it like a broadcasting package, because that's what we're literally doing is broadcasting. So what'll happen is COVID came. And then all of a sudden, all the conferences are gone, and we're like, and I'm still doing interviews.
Online, right?
I'm still doing interviews. But now obviously, conference organizers aren't going to pay me to come out and cover their conference, right? So because there's no conferences going on. So during that same time, there's a lot of people that are coming on the show that are like, hey, I've been thinking about starting a podcast. Like, can you help me? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No. And then I started thinking about it and I talked to the other co-founder, Shirag, and I'm like, hey, do we got any bench time? Like, now that I'm not out there on the road all the time, like doing conferences. He's like, yeah, actually we do have some bench time. I'm like, all right, well, some people are asking for some shows.
Yeah.
What do you think? And he's like, all right, why can't we launch them for other people if we can? I mean, we obviously are doing the same stuff that we did for ourselves. So it's not like we were novices. At that point in time, I probably did at least 3,000, 4,000 interviews at that point in time. So we had our systems down, we had distribution, we have our website, of course, missionmatters.com, all of that done. So I'm like, all right. So then we started one by one. And before you knew it, we blinked and we're, over 200, 250 shows launched. And so now what happens is if you're, a business owner, entrepreneur, and you're like, man, I always wanted to launch a podcast, but I want some help. That's what we do. So we handle full end-to-end social media, really everything from basic packages all the way up to in studio. So really, there's not.
So you'll do like a full
argue,
service.
I would argue where my team as an aggregate that have been, many of them have been with us since the beginning. We were going on 9 years here. I would argue we're one of the most experienced podcast teams on the planet. Like that in terms of quantity of episodes, in terms of formats, in terms of so. But we're approachable. Like but it's really just, and even if you talk about company culture, the idea of mission and just the things we just approach, nothing against any other agency, any other podcast, anything like that. Like that's not what I'm saying, but we just approach it a little bit differently. Like the culture and what you're hearing about today and the concept of being part of people's legacy, that's how we take our podcast agency. So not only like I can only do so many interviews. If we can help other people do interviews as well, we're fulfilling our mission of amplifying stories and of helping others tell their story, not just in functionality of words or encouragement or rah, 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 like let's go do it.
Yes.
But on the physical like distribution and on helping them get over those fears or helping them get over whatever's holding them back, whether it's tech or fear or know-how, or they need guests or they don't know what to say or whatever it is, we remove the roadblocks. Like all we want to do is we want to help them fulfill their mission. And that usually stems by launching something and by getting their story out there. So that's kind of how we started and where we're at today. Man, we're just blessed that we have a lot of shows that we run, and every day is interesting to hear a new concept and a new idea and to stay fresh and to see it continue to grow. So it's just been really a blessing to like take that leap and help and focus on others instead of only ourselves. We could have went another route and we could have said, no, let's reinvest that extra bench time into making me into more of a celebrity. We could have made it into an
sure.
influencer brand. I mean, we could have done that, but that's just not where my heart was at, or the other co-founder, Shirag. That's just not where our heart was at. We're like, no, this isn't, we don't want to turn into an influencer brand just because it's COVID and just because, no, let's build this thing out. Let's help others do what we've been able to do.
And I love that, because for me, Adam, it took me from the time I decided, hey, I want to start a podcast till I launched my first episode was like a year and a half.
My gosh.
Because I was like, oh, I got to do this.
I think our record is like 4 days. Like our record's like, and I mean, that's with full production design. I mean, like, just FYI. Like,
and that's where I was going, because I was like, it took me so long. And I don't think people realize, this is the easy part, talking. I feel like this is the easy part. I get to meet interesting people. We get to have good conversations. But what people don't realize is all the work, scheduling your guests, making sure that they're properly scheduled at a time frame, making sure you have a platform or software to record, or a studio to record if you're going to do in person, plus then you got to edit, then you got to do your social media, which this is all stuff that your company will offer, right? And for anybody that can afford it and they're thinking, man, I don't have the time, this is a wonderful way to do it, because I have to tell you, there's a lot put into a podcast.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the time to do it, Mission Matters could be the place for you.
And if you if you want to do it yourself and you don't have the time, then just do it. Just put something up there, man. Just don't even, this isn't even a plug for Mission Matters for me. I just want you to start one. Like, go on there. I started with a free, just pay for the hosting so you don't go through what I went through, especially if your show gets big. But pay for the hosting. But other than that, I don't care. Don't edit it. Put it up and send and share that link.
You know what?
Do whatever you got to do, but just get it done. You got AirPods, record on AirPods. You're fine.
That's all you need.
And just start finding your voice, because ultimately for you, Nathan, you said that like the talking part is easy. For me, the talking part wasn't easy. That was very hard. It took me a long time to be able to do that part. So
it's
if you're listening to this and the talking comes you easy, great, you're lucky. But if you're listening to this and the talking doesn't come easy, it's okay. We can still work past
it.
Like, there's ways to get better.
Yeah, I could tell you my first show was an absolute train wreck, and I thought it was a train wreck, and I could just tell. And, my goal is each show that I do just get just a little bit better, a little bit better than the time before. And I constantly see an evolution. And I think all of our listeners can do the same thing. And like you said, I encourage them to do it. And it doesn't matter if it starts off as a train wreck, at least your train wreck had movement.
All right, I gotta do it, Nathan. Very shamelessly, I gotta plug a podcast. It's called Every Day's a Train Wreck, and it's one of our hosts. Her name is Marley, and on the cover, she's got this like look where if you're listening in the car, you're not watching the video, you can't see the gesture I'm making, but just understand that she has this look where her hands are wide open and her mouth is open, and she looks like a train is coming to hit her, basically, on the podcast cover. And it's called Every Day's a Train Wreck. And oh my gosh, first off, it's a hilarious show. But second off, you'll love Marley. You listen to her once and you're going to be hooked. That's going to be your next favorite podcast. Every Day's a Train Wreck.
I'm going to check that out now.
She's super talented. It's so great.
So now for Adam, for your company, for all the podcasts that you launch, are they all around business? Is that it could be anything?
Even the shows that I host aren't all around business. That's only one of my shows. So I host 8 different shows. So I just covered CineQuest over in San Jose, a film festival. So I have an entertainment show. I have a lifestyle luxury show, a tech show. So we cover every niche, and I have a fitness show. Like on my end, I'm a broadcaster, man. I ask the questions. I'm super curious, and I love going down rabbit holes and taking people with me.
So I have to ask you this, Adam. How long are you behind the mic every week? How long do you think you're behind the mic?
Well, it depends, but the way the company's structured, and that's a really good and astute question, Nathan. The way the company's structured is we have executives that stand over each one of our profit centers, and they've all run funded startups, and they're super talented and super smart, so they don't need as much oversight from. I run the company as CEO for 30% of the time, and then 70% of the time I'm in front of camera or mic, and then the other co-founder here, Shirag, he's kind of filling in the gaps everywhere else in between, and runs at least one profit center, and oversees our event division too. The company structure was created to allow me to be in front of the microphone and to drive traffic and to do episodes. So I'll tell you this, my record is 91 interviews in a week. Wow. My record for one day is 25 interviews in a day. So that being said, I mean, especially in the early days, now I only do between 30 and 40 interviews a week. So I'm kind of like a part-timer because I average
It's funny you say
70
that.
plus interviews for like years, a week for years. So I'm part-timer. And what that schedule looks like for anybody that can't imagine your first interview's at 6 a.m., your last interview somewhere around 7 p.m., and you only get to use the bathroom if somebody cancels because you're booked back to back and you had over 30,000 applications to be on the show.
I can't even imagine that though, Adam, because I do 2 recordings a week and release one guest episode a week.
And that
takes my whole week.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So just the editing and everything like that just takes all the time. But I mean, I would love to be able to get to the point where I could do 40 shows in a day, but that's not there yet.
No, it's 25. Sorry,
25.
That's my record in a day. Yeah. I would love to be able to get to that. But, come on, man. Those might be 1 minute segments. I mean, I'm game. Let's try it.
So Mission Matters is very diverse then in the show that it all supports.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So and then the way they're titled too. So if anybody cares to look it up, if you go on Apple, for example, we have the Mission Matters channel. You just type in Mission Matters, you'll see those 8 shows. And then we also have a podcast network. So if you type in Mission Matters, you're going to also see a podcast network. And there's a little over 40 shows that we own and produce and distribute, and the super talented individuals that are on those shows. One of them is Marley, as I mentioned, who every day is a train wreck. I mean, she's you'll die laughing at her all day.
That was
long.
Literally my week. It felt like every day was a train wreck this week with my regular jobs.
Game on.
When you said, I was like, that's one I maybe need to listen to. And so with all these different, genres essentially that you're supporting in this podcast, how do you have a specific strategy behind diversifying this content to reach different audiences?
Originally, we just looked at some of the top websites. So I looked like at a Forbes or like an Economist or like things like that. And when I looked at those, we kind of niched out what we thought was going to be the best. If there's one glaring thing that we're missing, is sports. I don't watch much sports, so I'm not a big value add on sports. And we thought about launching a sports one because technically speaking, I could do like I would never do a sports podcast that actually followed the gameplay because I just don't watch them. It would be inauthentic. But I would do a sports podcast that maybe did biopics or talked about the journey of the athletes.
Yeah.
Because those are very equivalent to entrepreneurs, and that would put us in the sports niche. And that's kind of on the wish list, but it just hasn't been a priority. But I think that would be cool one day. If I was to say one thing that we're missing, that's what we're missing. But if you're listening, fan, whatever, with all those gambling platforms, you come on, man, who wants to help sponsor this launch, man? I want to host 9 shows. Give me
Let's
that.
Get
We can
Adam
get
a
the
sports
athletes
show.
booked. We can get the athletes booked. Don't worry about that. Just come with that paper.
Absolutely.
FanDuel, where you at? Come with that paper.
Supporting you through FanDuel, Adam. No, that's great. Having all those different genres and being able to support those different things has had to have taught you a lot too, right? I mean, just the different areas that you're going into and seeing how you support things, and maybe even some of these that you support through social media. That's got to be a different aspect, right? Because you're not going to probably do the same thing for, say, a luxury podcast that you would for, an entrepreneurial podcast, right?
Yeah.
As far as how you're going to promote it.
Yeah, I think it becomes interesting based on the level of guests and brands that you're interviewing, because you find as you get further and further up the chain in terms of the type of guest you're bringing on, like kind of people know each other. Like when you get to different levels, people know each other. They attend the same conferences. They do kind of the same things. They're in the same patterns and things like that. Like the CEOs kind of know other CEOs. Like that's kind of their peer group, right? So people start to know each other. So I think the interesting part about covering all these genres is that our platform, personally, I'll say, I've become a kind of like a connector of sorts and getting to know a lot of different things. And it's every day is just a new challenge, but also a new opportunity to learn. Yeah. Like I've been covering this FII priority event, and that's taken me, it's a very international thing. And it's really talking about the vision for 2030. And it's all talking about Saudi Arabia, and it's talking about all of the infrastructure that's going in there and some of their diversity diversification out of oil, what that looks like. And so in any given day, I might be, when I'm doing those particular interviews, I might start the day, with some Brazil interview. Then maybe I'm in London, maybe I'm in virtually, right? Like, and then I have somebody in the Middle East, then I have somebody in India, like all in the same day. And so you get different perspectives and the worldview. And for me, like personally, that keeps me in the game, so that every day is just super interesting. Like I get to learn something new every single day. But I hope, and the reason why I do that, other than my own personal interest in it's entertaining for me to do, is my audience.
Yes.
Like the audience that are my like loyal listeners, they're going on that journey with me. That's the way I see it. I take the style of an active listener and learner as my hosting style. I don't give too much of my own opinion. I don't like it. I don't go for the influencer side of I have to talk every 2 minutes or this, that. It's just not my thing. I'm more of the broadcaster side of things, and in the traditional sense, like if we think about the old school greats. But that being said, that's what keeps it interesting. And I hope that's what keeps it interesting for my audience too, is that they get to hear all of those different stories and be like, what? All of a sudden they got all these interviews talking about Saudi Arabia and the infrastructure and this, that, or NEOM, or like even some of these terms maybe they don't even know exist. I'm out there bringing that back to them, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. And, the fact that we have technology now that allows you to do that from, either wherever you work or your comfort of your own home. Like right now I'm in my own home, right? So this is my home office and I can talk to you, I'm in Ohio. So Adam, where are you at?
LA proper.
So look, we're
downtown
literally across the country and talking to each other. And this wasn't available 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So just the fact that we can have these types of conversations with people that were never available to us before just really broadens the horizon of our audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. And for you, has there been any type of series that you've done a show on that you really enjoyed and really loved producing yourself?
One that I like every year, and I've been covering this conference for a long time. It's called the Milken Global Conference, and it's in Beverly Hills, so it's in my backyard. And what I love about it is some of the stories that I get and just the people that are there. It's really interesting, like Michael Milken's story and like his background and like how that institute was formed and the thought leaders they bring together. And they're really like at the forefront of many discussions, whether it's in healthcare, finance, microfinance, what's going on in Africa, like all these different things. It's kind of like a kid in a candy store. It's like it's a week-long conference, and it's probably one of the top, 2 to 3 conferences in the world. It's up there with like a Davos. I think the ticket price this year is $5,000 just for a ticket, just to attend. So it really is the who's who that attend in corporate America. So that's one amazing one. The one that I just talked about, the FII Summit Priority in Miami, it was actually, just to give you an idea of that, when I covered, the president did the opening keynote. Elon Musk was there, the CEO of TikTok.
Wow. Yeah.
Eric Schmidt from Google, like all the top CEOs, they're all there. And so like getting to be in that crowd and getting to cover it. And I'll probably do a solid 70 interviews from that conference.
Wow.
I've been 0.
Yeah.
Bringing that type of content to my audience, like that's, to me, that there's nothing better. Like there's nothing better. Not everybody gets to have access to that. I'm from Michigan. I'm from Detroit. Yeah. Like I didn't have access to get into a conference that cost $35,000.
No, you and me both, like, right? We're Midwesterners,
just
right?
For a ticket? Like, yeah, right. Like that's somebody's like yearly income for a ticket to get into a conference. Like, especially
here, like, Midwest Michigan, Ohio, right? $35,000 is like, that's a middle class. That's a middle class salary
yearly,
here.
And so now, like, I've been blessed to be able to build this platform to where I get invitations to places like that, and I can take that information and the people that are there, I can interview them and I can bring that information back to the Midwest and back to anywhere else that anybody that cares. And I know when I was a kid growing up, like I wish I had access to stuff like that. Like I didn't, like they didn't exist.
And you bring that access that you now have to people that don't have the access, because you get to ask the questions, get the stories out there. And
I'm coming from their perspective too, because of where I'm from, I'm Midwest. So that it's always going to be from that. Like I may be in LA right now, but that's just because that's where media is at. Got to be in LA or New York. I can stomach LA a little bit. I can't stomach New York as much. So, I'm out here. I'd rather probably be living in the Midwest right now, but it's not where media is at. So that's where I'm at.
You got to go where it's at, right? I mean, you can't bring it to you. Well, maybe one Monday, but yeah, you've got to go where the business is.
The infrastructure's here. It's just like you want to be. It's there. There's nothing you can.
It's the hub. It's the media hub of the United States, really.
Yeah.
Between that and New York, right? Those are our two main hubs. And yeah, I think I'm with you. I'd rather be in LA just for the fact of the weather alone.
Yeah, the weather's not. I'm not going to lie, man. I got my people are still, my family's still in Detroit and everything else. I thought they're like, it's cold. It's April. It's 37 degrees or whatever, and I'm like, I'm by the pool. My bad.
Yeah. Oh boy, it was a cool 80 today. Now
sucks for you. I'm by the pool. 78 degrees, baby.
I'm sure you don't miss it. So earlier this week, Adam, and you'll probably understand this, but we saw like 3 out of the 4 seasons all in one day.
Yeah, I heard that.
I woke up. It was like 43 degrees, which I was like, okay, this is kind of fall weather, 40. Then it went up to 67 degrees. I was like, oh, hey, spring's here. Then all of a sudden it dropped, and by the end of the night, it was snowing. So I'm sure you don't miss that. I'm sure you don't miss that at all.
No, I'm not about that life. I'm sorry. I lost my Midwest card on when it comes to weather. I still have my ideals and my upbringing, but I don't have my skin anymore. My skin's not that thick.
We will all
give
up the weather in the Midwest. That's for sure. That's one thing.
I'm too soft. I'm not going hunting. I'm not doing nothing. I'm staying.
We'll be fine. We'll be sitting in my idea of like camping or being outdoorsy is in a real nice like glamping, fifth wheel trailer or something.
Man, Nathan, you sold out. You sold out. Look at me throwing you under the bus now. Now you sold out, man. You call yourself Midwest.
No, it's so funny. My wife is always like, oh, let's get a tent and go camping. I'm like, why? I have a bed.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm
like, but no, she did get me into camping, but now we have a travel trailer. So at least I have all the comforts of home when I go outdoors, so I had to meet that happy medium, but I do love being outdoors. I just don't like sleeping outdoors, So, but yeah, sorry, didn't mean to go off topic
it's all good.
there.
I'm not about that life. I'm good.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I do not blame you.
I'm a wimp. You can put it in the comments. Adam's a wimp. Yes, he is. I'm sorry. I don't want any cold. I'm good. I'm fine. I lived in Arizona for a bit, and I got used to that.
Yeah.
Hot weather.
Definitely hot.
There's no going back. Like, my blood's too thin. There you go. Whatever.
Exactly. It'd take you years to get your blood thickened up again. Who wants
I'm
that?
good.
So for you, Adam, with Mission Matters, what can you share some kind of like, any insights or anything like that, or success stories that maybe you've experienced through the podcast that you guys support?
Well, first off, I'll say everything that we do for others, we've done for ourselves. And if you think about our entire business, it really, other than the book publishing side that we had done in the beginning, it really all stemmed from the podcast, our network, the people we met, the distribution, the inbound traffic, the website traffic, all the ability for us to launch new projects, to launch new products. And actually, all of the products that we have and that we do were an offshoot of things that guests and or people that were listening to our podcast asked for. So when you think about it, our entire company, the success story is based off of the podcast. So how do we start doing podcasts for other people? A podcast guest asked, can you help us launch a podcast? Yeah. In the beginning, when we were book publishing, we weren't really publishing individual books for people. We were just doing we have an anthology series. It's a best-selling series. Actually, the 11th edition just came out. We have hundreds of authors that have been featured in these through the years. And the pedigree of authors are just, it's insane. Some of the people that have been in that book. But that being said, our PR division, that came from people being on the podcast. They're like, hey, can you help us? Do you do PR too? And we're like, well, we do it for ourselves, but I guess we could. That grew from that. Social media. Do you do social media? Well, that grew from a guest and or somebody, a listener asking for that service. So we don't have too many, and we do a personal brand accelerator. Same thing. Can you help me build my personal brand? Can you do this? A guest.
That's awesome.
All the things that we've built were just, I guess, the key. If you are a podcaster out there, either looking to monetize or looking to get bigger, the key is listening to your audience. That's it. If you're listening to your audience, then you'll have success because you'll know what they want. I don't care if you have an audience of 10 people. Get in touch with those 10 people.
And, we do the same thing. So I think I told you my day job is I work in agile project manager for software development. And so that's one of the things that I key in on too, is always listening to our customers' feedback, because some of the best ideas come from the people that are using it. So exactly like just what you just said.
I'm not that
people
creative.
That are
I tell people, I'm
on the podcast, you listen. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
they
listened
asked,
to him
like,
and
they're
you
like,
ran with
"Oh,
it.
you had this idea, or you decided to do that. That was smart." I'm like, "I didn't come up with that idea." Oh, even and for people that are listening that they're like, "This guy, he's just trying to be humble." No, what did I say when you asked me, "How did you come up with the name Mission Matters?" What did I
Yeah.
say?
A guest gave it to you.
I didn't come up with it. A
Yeah.
guest gave it to me exactly what you said. So I give credit where it's due, but I'm just not that
Yeah.
creative. I just listen.
And you know what? It comes from those opportunities. It's great that you took those opportunities, though, to see them as opportunities, because some people are saying, hey, you did this for yourself. You do this for your, this, that, and the
Yeah.
other thing. And then COVID came along and you saw that, you had a little bit of a downtime, so to speak. I'm sure it wasn't, but you had a little lull, right, in your
We had some
activities. So
bench
you're like,
time. The
you know what?
editors weren't going
Let's
full
do it.
speed. So yeah.
Yeah. And that's how, some of the best businesses get started, is to find a need and fill it. And you're literally, your customers, aka your guests, had a need, you filled it.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. I mean, that's how some of the best companies start.
Mm-hmm.
But with those companies, Adam, I have to assume there's challenges, right? So what would you see? What is, some of the biggest challenges you see as running a media company like Mission Matters?
I think the first thing is you have to keep track of your expenses for content you're creating. So in the beginning, I think one of the things that we did right was that I didn't have a media background. So where people are normally obsessed with things like that, which they should be, like brand or like distribution or things like that, I was obsessed with how much does a piece of content cost us to put out.
You sound like me. I'm like a numbers guy. Yeah.
I was like, at one point, I don't know the number now, but at one point I remember it was like 27 cents for a piece of content we put out. And I was like, okay, that works. Like that was good. Other than my time, which again, I could, if I factored that in, it was it would have been made the numbers not work quite as well, but not factoring in my time was like 27 cents a piece of content. And so based off of that, I was like, okay, we're like, our systems are go, we're tight. We can start increasing the output of what we do. So the number one challenge is making sure that you have enough runway, or I should say, how much your output, which is your media content, is costing you, and that you have enough runway to last indefinitely. Like if you don't have that runway and you have to have a job and you have to work out of your job, or you even want to keep your job forever and you want to do the good thing about podcasting is really an active show is one episode a week. So when you said you do 2, I was like, man, that's awesome. You're super active. That's a lot. But
well, to be honest, my second show is like a 20-minute news episode at the end of the week. So it's pretty easy.
No,
it doesn't take long, but
it doesn't matter. It's not the length of the show. It's the consistency. So there's some people that will never listen to this show because they might think it's too long, but they listen to the other one because they're like, oh, that's all I want from Nathan.
Exactly.
So
and I see,
you're good.
Different brands, right?
It's a different, so you're good. So the fact that you're doing 2 is like, that's phenomenal. So when I talk to people all the time, I'm like, how about you just start? Like you got a day job, you got a gig. Can you do one night a week? If you can't dedicate one night a week to recording, then you don't really want to do it. It's okay.
And I've even seen people, Adam, that have podcasts that have actually been somewhat successful that only, release an episode once every 2 weeks or once a month just to start. And I mean, once a month,
consistency.
Hey, that's nothing.
And this is a marathon. This is a marathon sport. This is not a sprint. If you think like you're going to sprint, go viral, you're going to. The thing is with the audio is people have to get used to your voice.
Yes.
They got to get used to your voice. They got to get to feel like they know you. When they feel like they know you and they're used to your voice, like sometimes I'll go to events or conferences that I've maybe covered in the past, and people run up to me and they're like, Adam, what's going on? And they're telling me about my life. And I'm like when my mom passed, I had so many people coming up to me, talk to me about it. And I'm like, thank you. And it was a lot of love being given, but I don't know these people.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. You're like, I don't know who you are, but thank you. Right. Yeah.
I mean it's great. It's gratifying and it's all love, but it just shows you and it showed me, I should say. And I believe other podcasters that have had the similar experience. It shows that people care and that what we do matters and that people it matters and that information matters and hearing people's story matters. Like that matters.
Yep. And, one of the biggest things you talked about conferences earlier, and I'm going to give a little shameless plug here, not for me, but what really pushed me over the edge was a conference I went to in January called Podfest. I don't know if you've ever been or heard about it. It's in Florida. So it's in Orlando, Florida. It's like 4 or 5 days.
What day was that at?
That was, I believe it was January 16th through.
Did you go to that? Did you go to the after party on might have been day one at that
I did
karaoke
not.
bar?
I did not because
I
we
was
were
there.
flying in that day.
I was at that karaoke bar, and
Yeah, we didn't get in until like midnight.
So I didn't go to the conference, but I was in town for another one right down the street. I think it was called the AED conference, and I had some sponsors, VanCap Management. They sponsored me to come out there, and they wanted me to do some interviews and stuff for that conference. And then my good buddy Christopher Kai was at Podfest, and he's like, I think he was a speaker maybe or something.
Yeah.
I know he does a lot of speaking, so he's known as the Billionaire Network. So Networker, Christopher Kai, ChristopherKai.com, and he was like, hey Adam, I'm in Orlando. And I'm like, really? I'm like, me too. And he's like, where you at? And I give him my address, and he's like, we're a mile away from each other. Not even. We're like 0.8 miles. What are you doing tonight? I was like, I don't know. I'm supposed to do some interviews tomorrow. He's like, let's go up. Meet me at this karaoke bar. I'm at Podfest. And I'm like, Podfest? Well, that sounds cool. And I went there for that, and I met a bunch of amazing podcasters and had some karaoke beverages.
Yeah, it was, I have to tell you, it really took me to the next level, because when I started my podcast, I had no intention of having guests whatsoever. And I met Alex from Podmatch, and, he kind of got me into it, and he's like, you get what you pay for. It is a paid platform, but, I'll be honest.
Shout out to Podmatch and Alex. So that's how we met. If Nathan has an affiliate link, you guys need to sign up for that.
Absolutely. It'll be in the show notes. I highly
recommend it. Like, shout out to Alex.
Yeah. And so he's, that's how I got guests like you, was going through Podmatch and, doing things. But the conference was so amazing, and there was so many learnings and opportunities for you to learn new things and how to podcast, especially with like AI, how to do proper sound, deliver a good message, get good guests, all those types of things. I mean, was worth every single penny. And to be able to coordinate with other podcasters and find out what they do and what works for them was amazing as well. So it's just, I recommend it. If you ever get a chance, go to it. I think they do it every year in January, Podfest, but yeah.
And it's been going on for some years, I believe.
Yeah. I think this last one was like 9 or 10 years. I think they've been doing it. So this
year will be our second annual PodCon in LA. So we do, we do a podcast. It's Podfest is bigger than ours. We don't host that many people, but ours is a little bit of a different format. So I'm not saying anyone should come to ours, go to Podfest, but I'm just proud of them for going like 9 years in. That's game. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. It's amazing.
And it's really about, bringing podcasters together to just make the craft overall better. And that's great, because there's people, like yourself, myself, I'm doing it more of a hobby. You do it more of a business. And I think that's what's great about us coming together, because we can share our different experiences. You from more of a professional standpoint, me from a hobbyist. But in the end, hey, we're still here talking to each other, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's see. Challenges. I'm just trying to think here. Sorry, we've talked about a lot of stuff. Oh, yeah. I did want to ask you this. Where do you see the future of media and storytelling going?
Communities. I think communities are becoming more and more important. I don't think about I never thought about our podcast as just a podcast. I've thought about it as a community from day one. And that was based on the teaching of our other co-founder here, Shirag Sagar. He's the one who has always been a big community builder. And so whereas AI and technology and editing and this and that, like, it's going to get better. It's going to get better and better and better. And you're going to have more stuff that's like made up and otherwise. But one thing that we lean heavy into is community. So when we talk about launching a show, that same discussion of like why launch a podcast or what the podcast is going to be about, we already indoctrinate and bring out that word community to say, okay, so we're launching, you want to launch a show. What community are you looking to attract? What community are you looking to build? Because that's something that like it's different. I like to think about the old school days when maybe you had like let's just say when we were all spread out and you maybe had a local radio station and everybody listened to the local radio station, and maybe they didn't listen to the radio station from the big city that was, a couple towns over, and even though it had reach, maybe they listened to the local one and that was their local DJ, that was their local guy. there was a community that was built around that podcast. Now that community can be in person like that, but it can also be a digital community, an online community, a lot of different ways. And what I find is that people rallying around communities and feeling that connectivity, that's a great way to think about your brand and your podcast. And that's how you can build like a significant and meaningful large media company over time. It doesn't happen overnight. Like, well, you value every community member, but just like building a community like from scratch with brick and mortar, like in person, that doesn't happen over time. Like it could
No.
take a lifetime, but it's worth it. It's worth it because people not only want to, because people also want to belong to communities. So the more you building one, you creating a podcast and a show allows other people the chance to belong and to connect. And that's worth it.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you bring that community aspect to it, because that's why I got into it was, you know, to talk to normal everyday people about the extraordinary things that we do all the time, you know, how you know, share stories of people that work from the bottom up, start their own companies, like maybe it's a media company, right, Adam? You know, and just show that just because we consider ourselves normal everyday people doesn't mean we can't do extraordinary things and build communities around that. And I love the fact that you built a community-minded media company. Because really, that's based on what you just told me, that's what you did. You want to make sure that a community is built around the media that you produce.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. And since you started this journey from Money Matters to now Mission Matters, how has your perspective changed in your work at all?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's the one story I gave you about my mother, like that, the legacy component. I didn't understand that,
Yeah, and I
and
didn't
I
even think
also
about
did.
that till you mentioned it.
Yeah,
So
I didn't
yeah,
understand that. I didn't understand also the networking capability. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand the level of access and the just the experiences on a personal level that I would get to experience firsthand, and then also share with my audience. That's just special. Like, it's just
yeah,
different. Like to think about, and like I said, I'm from the Midwest. I'm from a regular family. I mean, my mom was a social worker. My dad owned an auto body shop, and it was, he fixed cars. So like he painted cars. So nothing special there. No special upbringing. I didn't go to Ivy League, anything.
yeah,
I
me
didn't like
either.
went to Michigan State, Sparty on. I'm in. I'm a Michigander, right? And looking at all of that to think I'm covering a conference that like the president's right there in front of me, and so is
That's
Elon
so
Musk,
amazing.
and so are the and all this Saudi royalty and all these other things, and it's just like it's just me, Adam from the Midwest. It's cool, and to think that all of that came from the podcast, like, and from doing exactly what we're doing here today.
Just talking.
Yep.
I mean, that's really what we're doing. We're just talking, discussing things. And yeah, it's amazing how that it's really transformed and how people listen to podcasts now. I mean, it blows my mind how many people listen to podcasts, especially younger folks. You know, I think older folks and I don't want to be derogatory, but like, the boomer generation, right? They're still probably radio and stuff like that. But, Gen X, Y, Z, we're all going more towards digital media, which, is here's your niche. But it is just amazing how you brought up like the legacy part of it. I never
Yeah.
thought of that. And that's a huge change. And the people we get to meet on a daily basis is just phenomenal. I mean, people I never thought I would meet. And I have to imagine, Adam, that when you were growing up, you probably didn't think that you'd be covering, conferences where the
I didn't even
president's
know a
speaking.
podcast didn't exist, and if they did, I didn't know. And nor did I want to know. I didn't. My background wasn't in media. I was a finance guy. I didn't know anything
Yeah.
about this stuff. I just turned on a mic and I just thought, just talk.
Yeah, that's amazing though how you've grown from, being like Money Matters, right, to Mission Matters, and really just expanded your overall brand to help others. And to me, that's phenomenal. Getting more people out there, getting their stories heard, all it's going to do is help others. And not only that, but, bring other people closer together and build those communities. And, congrats on that, Adam, for doing that.
Thank you.
Is there, for you, working with the company and everything, is there an aspect of Mission Matters that you like the best? Is it being, in front of the camera on the mic, or is there another aspect of, running the business that's like your favorite?
I'll tell you one of the most interesting aspects. And I'll get is two different examples. One, on our publishing side, when you help somebody publish their first book, I don't care who they are, how successful they are, whatever, CEO, this, that, don't care about age. like we throw these book launch parties and these signings, and the first time somebody asks you to sign your book for them because you're a new author, there's no feeling like it in the world. I just sit back and I watch my authors and I see them like get this gleam in their eye. Like, I don't think it could be a 60-year-old man that's running as a CEO and run a company for you. They like kids. Like, it's almost like, you want my autograph? Like, it's that level of validation. I mean, only celebrities have felt that prior to like, so, and so I think the closest to that, like that feeling of like, wow, like, holy smokes, like somebody cares about like, and like to the point where they had asked for my autograph. I don't think that's a common experience.
No,
so
no one's ever asked for mine, Adam.
When you write a book and when you do a book launch party, they're going to ask for it, because writing a book and putting a book out, that's a thing. And it's an accomplishment, and people want, and they collect those, and people have a certain value they associate to it. So one of my just favorite moments is when I get to see that, like I get to see a new author be asked for their autograph for the first time. And they just they're just like almost like, wow, of course, and they're shaking a little bit maybe, or they're like, and it's a new experience. You don't get to, especially the older you get in life, you don't get to get new experiences as often.
No, because we get, especially when we get set in our ways.
Yeah.
It's like getting in that status quo, right? And, just go down the thing, so you don't get that as often. But yeah, and it's amazing because it's funny on the other end of it. When I interview authors, Adam, and they want to send me a book, I'm always like, well, first of all, can I buy it from you? Because I'd like to support you, right? You've done all this, but I said, if I buy it from you, will you sign it? That's always my thing, is I want to have a signed copy. So of the author,
you go. So that's where,
so hopefully I'm helping them too. But
when you get your book out there one day, and that you get that feeling on the other side, it's going to be pretty cool. That's one of my favorite experiences, to give somebody else that feeling and give them a first that they get to remember, is amazing. Another one is when, speaking of first, is I've interviewed many people, and it's the first time they've ever been interviewed on a podcast. And it's not because of their station in life, by the way. Like, some people are very successful and they just maybe have never felt comfortable with a platform where they felt like they could be heard or tell their story. And so, like, there's a lot of very successful, very wealthy, very interesting people that just never wanted to be interviewed before. And I feel just a level personally of gratification that for people that trust us with that story. And then also, like, afterwards, it's funny because they're always like, how'd I do? Was that okay? And I'm like, man, you run a company that could swallow my company in one of your divisions. Exactly. And you're over here telling me, did you do okay? Come on, man. But it's true. It's a thing. And I remember hearing a story between Oprah, like when her Oprah interviewing Beyonce, and after the interview, Beyonce's like, how did I do? And Oprah's like, shut up, you're Beyonce. What are you talking about?
She's on stage Beyonce. In front of thousands, do you know every day.
And I'm dying. Of course, this is an older interview. This is like many years ago, but still, she was still Beyonce then too. Yeah,
she had already been on stage at some point, right? She'd probably done a music video
Beyonce
or two.
To the point to where she made it on Oprah, put it that way.
It's funny, but what I love to hear, and what I'm hearing from you, Adam, and this is, I love this because I kind of thrive on the same thing, is it sounds like you measure your success based on the success of the other folks that you can help. And, I think that is a good platform because it really puts you in there to be like a servant leader. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I just love that.
Hey, it's a privilege. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to ask you that question, but
what? What's the question?
I was going to ask you, do you have a favorite person that you've interviewed, or a favorite interview that you've done? Not necessarily a person.
I always ask podcasters that. And you know how I tee that one up, Nathan?
How do you?
This is how I do it. Nathan, I'm going to ask you a really mean question that I ask I like to really get them going. I'm like, Nathan, I'm going to ask you a really mean question that you shouldn't ask a podcaster, but I'm going to do it because it's my show. And then they get a little scared like you are right now.
You're like, wait, what?
Yeah, exactly. And then okay. And I'm like, just like choosing between your kids if you have them. What's your favorite? What's your favorite episode? That's how I like to tee that one up, Nathan. So you got to be bold and you go for it because you want them to get scared. You want to get that appeal from them.
Yeah, and it's like, I was going to ask you that.
Because it's rude and it's mean, but if you say it in advance, it's mean, then you can say whatever you want. No, I'm just like...
No, and that's, because I was going there and I was like,
for the audience.
If you asked me that question, I don't know that I could genuinely answer it because I think I have different episodes that are favorite for different reasons.
Yeah,
Does that
you
make
got to
sense?
come up with one then.
Yeah.
I'll give you mine. You got to come up with one because you don't want to be thrown off guard when somebody
Yeah, when
asks
someone
you.
asks me.
My actual favorite one, though I do have a favorite, it was this woman who I interviewed. I've interviewed big people. I mean, monetarily, like CEOs, this, that, many big companies you've heard of. I've interviewed them, many, many people, but this is a solopreneur. And so to my knowledge, it was only her. And she restores vintage guitars. And at the end, what struck me is, first off, her level of passion for the craft and the way this woman spoke about what she did on a daily basis. It's like listening to Michelangelo talk about painting. If I was to be a fly on the wall of him doing that, like what I would imagine it to be, I mean. And at the end, and what struck me, and I just knew, and it's something I'll never forget, is at the end of it, I'm like, all right, you normally do a call to action. So people want to follow up. If somebody wants a guitar or something, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Like, how do people follow up? Your website, social media. She's like, Adam, I don't want any of your audience to contact me. And I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, did I do a bad job? Are you mad? And I asked her, I'm not going to let her off when she says that. I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't understand what you're saying. Are you okay? Like, you actually don't want people to. She's like, Adam, if Elton John has to wait 3 years to get his guitar like refurbished, and if every major rock star you've ever heard of wants to work with me, and I don't just have time, like, no, your audience does not need to contact me. But thank you, I appreciate you asking me, but no, she wasn't being rude. Just like this.
She's basically telling you, hey, I love doing the work and everything, but I won't be able to support everybody.
The way I saw it and the way I took it was, if you're living in your calling and if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and if you're the best at doing it, you don't got to worry about anything.
Exactly. It comes to you, right?
Like that's just it. It's not easy. It doesn't make it easy. But if you reach that level of perfection, and that's the craft and that's the goal in whatever you're aiming to do out there, whether it's craft, whether it's whatever it is. If you're the best, then like you're gonna it's not easy, but if you're the best, then you don't have anything to worry about when it comes to getting business. Be the best.
You're right. Yeah. And going on podcasts though, like you said, when you help, other entrepreneurs and stuff like that, it gives them a good voice to help build that brand to where they can become the best. And, it's
got to get those reps in, man. Got to go on those shows, Nathan. You got to get those reps in.
Absolutely. You got to do 25 a day. No, I'm kidding.
Man,
not all of us
been there, done that. You don't got to do that. You got to do one a week. One every 2 weeks. Do whatever your cadence is.
Start one a month. Who cares, right?
But just make sure that you put it on a map and say you're going to do it for 20 years. Do that. Yeah. That's the hard part.
That is the hard part. And consistency too, right, Adam? Is if you, no matter how often
20
you release an episode,
do it for 20 years and you will not regret it.
Absolutely. Well, I loved this, Adam. This was great to have you on. I loved hearing your insights, how you're helping other people get their stories out there. Is there anything else you want our audience to know while you're here? Or do you want to go ahead and plug your company so they could get a hold of you in any way?
I would just say, I'd love somebody to send me a message on Instagram, Ask Adam Torres. If you're having a problem launching or doing anything else, I check that account myself. That's the only account I check myself, by the way. On Instagram, Ask Adam Torres. There's also a link there to the website, to the podcast, to a bunch of free stuff. We have free ebooks. We have how to launch a podcast, how to write a bestseller. We have a ton of free content there. The newsletter, free. I mean, we argue that as a media company of our size, we give out more free stuff than any other media company on the planet. So you don't believe me, check it out. So again, Ask Adam Torres on Instagram. And if you got any questions, anything else, man, just send me a DM and say you saw me on Nathan's show, Just the Dude. And I'm just a dude too, man. So looking forward to connecting with your audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And Adam, thank you again so much for being here and for sharing your story and how you've, basically with your partner built a new company from the ground up and just helping to advance and elevate voices that may not otherwise be elevated. And so thank you for that, because I think a lot of us need to do that. And I think you being out there and offering help can maybe give someone that push to say, okay, well, maybe I don't have to do it all on my own.
Thank you, Nathan, man. Keep doing what you do.
Yeah, thank you. That's a wrap for today's episode of Just a Dude podcast. A huge thank you to Adam Torres for sharing his vision and passion for storytelling with us. If you've been inspired by our conversation today, don't forget to check out Mission Matters and see how storytelling can transform your perspective or even your business. Remember, if you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, Leave us a review and share with your friends. We're all about spreading stories that matter, and your support helps us do just that. Catch us next week for another deep dive into the lives and sessions of fascinating individuals. Until then, keep being just a dude or a dudette, making an impact in your own unique way. I'm Nathan, signing off. See you next time.